Alright, hello everybody. Friendly Red here, reporting once more on some new game releases that have popped up on my radar. We've got a bit of a slower, calm before the storm type month of releases this August, with not as many games as last month, and certainly not as many as what will be coming next month, which is when the real release storm will begin, as so many developers and publishers try and get their games out before Steely Wheelie Automobile the 6th launches in November. Getting back to this month though, before we begin, it's time for the usual disclaimer. Please keep in mind that release dates are always subject to change, and what's presented in this video may be out of date by the time it is posted. Now then, here's what's on my radar for August of 2026. Starting us off just a few days into the month, Big Walk releases on the 4th. Coming to us, courtesy of House, the same developers behind Untitled Goose Game, the biggest of walks is almost here, and this is one I've been looking forward to for almost 3 years now. Moving away from terrorizing a small town as the most mischievous goose in all of gaming, Big Walk instead focuses on chilling out and talking with your friends as you all party up and explore a vast open world full of all kinds of different points of interest to find and puzzles to solve. There's also lots of tools, gadgets, and other knickknacks you can find along your journey, which can help with your exploration, communication, and so on. It's a seemingly very simple and perhaps basic premise to craft an entire game around, just walking around and talking with friends as you explore around a large area. But there's a certain charm to it all that has really stuck with me ever since I first saw this game. The mix of realistic and quite pretty natural landscapes and environments to explore, along with the goofy, cartoony, and almost out-of-place looking player characters, it just really clicks with me for some reason. I also appreciate just how much effort the developers have put into the in-game communication systems. Like a lot of other modern, friend-focused multiplayer games, Big Walk has its own proximity voice and text chat systems within it. And similar to Peak, it seems like the devs have put a lot of effort into making it a very dynamic and natural sounding voice chat system, with different environments, distances, and equipment you may be talking around or into, affecting how your voice sounds and gets broadcast throughout the world to your friends. And I suspect that just this one element of the game alone will lead to plenty of funny moments and highlights for many who decide to go for a large stroll. So yeah, this one seems pretty simple, but the more you look into it, I think it's clear to see that there's a lot that went into this one, and I'm quite eager to head out on a gargantuan hike alongside my friends once it releases. As a big fan of cooperative games, Big Walk was destined to show up on my radar, but besides that, it also just seems to offer up some good, simple, chill fun with friends, just something I'm always going to appreciate and be down for. Big Walk will be releasing on Tuesday, August 4th, for PS5, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. One week after Big Walk, we've got another release that I've similarly been waiting a long time for now, that being Agent 64, Spies Never Die. Actually, according to my Steam wishlist, I've been waiting on this one for a bit longer than Big Walk, as I added it to my wishlist all the way back in June of 2022. Truthfully, I haven't really kept up with this one in that time since I learned about it and added it to my list. I suppose it was just one of those games that I thought looked cool and would want to play, but didn't really expect it to take as long as it's been to release. I will say though, having looked into it more now that it is finally about to come out, I think the wait is going to be worth it in the end, as this game looks pretty damn perfect in what it is and set out to be, which is basically a modern day version of some of the all-time console FPS greats from the late 90s, specifically games like Perfect Dark and GoldenEye 007. Everything people loved about those games is all here in Agent 64, with the dynamic single-player campaign that changes up your objectives and missions based on the selected difficulty, and now with the added benefit of supporting co-op play as well, and of course, the fast and oh-so-chaotic PvP multiplayer, which can be played online or via local split screen if you're feeling nostalgic and want to relive those legendary all-nighters of yesteryear you had back on the N64. I may not have the same attachment and memories to the games that inspired this one, as they were a bit before my time, but I've enjoyed the bits of them I have played, and I do quite like me some old-school N64 and PS1 era graphics. So when you combine that with some fast and fun first-person shooting, and you include a big head mode as well, I think it's easy to see why this one ended up as one of my priority pickups for this month. Agent 64, Spies Never Die, will be releasing on Tuesday, August 11th, for PC. Moving into the honorable mentions, we have to go back to the 4th for our first entry here, that being Beast of Reincarnation. I don't know if this is weird to say, but I think a big chunk of my interest in this game still stems from the fact that it's being made by Game Freak, who you may know as the developers of that one series of RPGs about catching and battling fictional cartoon animals. Like, yeah, I know Game Freak has made other games in the past aside from Pokemon, but this really does stand out amongst their entire lineup, I feel. Disregarding all that, Beast of Reincarnation does look like a pretty solid and competent action game, with lots of cool blends of different gameplay and aesthetics within, mixing real-time action combat with some light turn-based elements for the gameplay, and both distant past and far-flung future-looking weapons, clothing, and environments for those aesthetics. I'm certainly interested in seeing how this one turns out, and playing it myself once I've got a bit more time open on my gaming schedule, and perhaps once it's a bit cheaper. This one will be out for PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. The very next day on the 5th, the 1.0 version for Fields of Mistria launches, heralding the end of the game's early access period. So I actually already do own this game, but haven't played it yet, as I was waiting for this exact moment to do so. I typically don't buy into early access games that much anymore these days, but I was instantly sold on this one the moment I saw it, and wanted to support the game, even if it was going to be a bit longer before actually playing it myself. To put it simply, Fields of Mistria is effectively Stardew Valley, infused with a retro 80s or 90s anime look for its main characters, which is an art style that I'm sure I've mentioned numerous times now throughout my videos that I really do love. It's been a bit since I've really dived deep into a chill, cozy game like this, so I'm quite looking forward to having another one of these kinds of games to sink countless amounts of hours into. I suspect I'll be playing this one many nights after a long day at work, or for a few hours in bed on my Steam Deck on days off. This one will be out for PC. Just about 2 weeks after Fields of Mistria leaves its early access period, we've got another game here, entering its own on the 18th, that being Entropy. This is a brand new CRPG coming to us from lovely Hellplace, the same team behind Dread Delusion, which is a game I mentioned all the way back in my Red's Radar for May of 2024. Like that game, Entropy shares a similar visual identity, with retro, dark fantasy-inspired environments to explore, filled to the brim with all manner of appropriately grotesque monsters and fiends to take out along your adventures. However, unlike Dread Delusion, which was a first-person, action-oriented RPG more akin to the Elder Scrolls, Entropy shifts the gameplay focus towards turn-based combat, reminding me a bit more of the OG Final Fantasy games, Fire Emblem, and perhaps even a little bit of Etrian Odyssey, what with the game having a somewhat similar system for lining up and positioning rows for your party members to form up into during combat. I'll be waiting until this one is fully out with its 1.0 version to check it out for myself, but I think the game already is showing a lot of promise, and I hope the developers have another successful early access period with this game, much like they had with Dread Delusion before it. This one will be out for PC. Closing out our honorable mentions for this month, we end with Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. Following up 2023's Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, which included MGS 1, 2, and 3, alongside some bonuses, Volume 2 here looks to finish off the set, including both Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, which originally released exclusively for the PS3 in 2008, and Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which originally released exclusively for the PSP in 2010. Now, Peace Walker has already appeared on other platforms aside from the PSP, as it was ported to the Xbox 360 and PS3 for the MGS HD collection in 2011. However, the same cannot be said about MGS 4, as until now, it's remained only on the PS3. But after all these years, it will finally be free from its PS3 prison with this collection, which is the main reason I, and I'm sure many others, are excited for this one. I mean, I've heard Peace Walker is also quite good, but MGS4 just kind of carries with it this certain weight or importance that I feel is a bit unmatched. And given that it's the only numbered mainline entry I've yet to play for myself besides MGS3, as I never had and still don't own a PS3, I'm personally quite pleased that I'll finally get to experience it. I do know that the PS3 emulation scene has been getting much more robust and refined over the years though, with a large focus being dedicated towards getting MGS4 to run well on PCs via said emulation, so it'll be cool to see how this official port of MGS4 looks, runs, and plays compared to the OG via emulation, and I'm especially curious to see what that original Switch version is going to look like. This one will be out for PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. Oh, and before we truly end the honorable mention section, I wanted to give a quick update on a previous honorable mention, that being Held at Loose, Vietnam. I originally discussed it back in my Red's Radar for June, as it was slated to release that month, before getting delayed into this month, now set to launch on the 13th. Nothing else to add really, though I hope the devs have used their extra time well, and here's hoping the game sticks to this date and ends up better than it would have back in June. And that'll do it for another Red's Radar. As I said back at the beginning, not as much going on this month compared to before, and certainly not at the level of what's to come in September. Still, I think this is a fine little selection of wholly new releases, with some early access endings and beginnings mixed in there as well. We've also got a proper, true physical release of the Oblivion remaster to look forward to this month, thanks to the Switch 2 port of the game, including the whole thing on a single game card, which is something you don't even get with the physical versions for both PS5 and Xbox Series X, and I may end up adding it to my physical collection, as I did quite enjoy my time with Oblivion. And, as a really quick last-minute addition, the release date for the first wave of Pokopia DLC, Bubbly Basin, was announced during my final read-through of this script, and it'll be out on August 5th, so that's another nice little release to look forward to for this month. And hey, it's on the same day as the 1.0 launch of Fields of Mistria, so that's going to be quite an awesome day for fans of the chill and cozy variety of games. But, with all that being said, I think that'll do it for this video. If you made it to the end, I thank you for watching. Your continued viewership and support is greatly appreciated. I hope I was able to entertain, inform, and perhaps interest you in some upcoming games you may not have known about. And last, but certainly not least, as always, I'll see you next time.